There is nothing more frustrating than watching your plant cuttings wilt and fail when all you wanted was to grow a few extra plants from your favorites. The good news is you probably already have several powerful rooting hormones sitting in your kitchen right now. After 3 decades of propagating plants, I can tell you that these natural alternatives work beautifully. Today, you will learn 15 homemade rooting stimulants that help cuttings develop strong, healthy roots. And stay tuned for the gelatin method later on. Plus a bonus tip that could change how you approach propagation forever. The first natural rooting hormone on our list is banana peel water, and this one might surprise you with how effective it really is. Bananas are packed with potassium, and potassium plays a critical role in root development and overall plant health. To make banana peel water, simply take 2 or 3 ripe banana peels and place them in a quart jar. Fill that jar with room temperature water and let it sit for about 48 hours. You can also chop the peels into smaller pieces to help release more nutrients into the water. After steeping, strain out the peels and your rooting solution is ready. When you take your cuttings, let them soak in this banana water for about 30 minutes before planting. Some gardeners even water their newly planted cuttings with this solution for the first week or 2. The potassium encourages cell division at the cut end, which is exactly what we need to get those roots forming quickly. The second rooting hormone is one you almost certainly have in your spice cabinet, and that is cinnamon powder. Cinnamon has been used by gardeners for generations because it works as both a rooting stimulant and a powerful antifungal agent. When you take a cutting, the open wound at the bottom is extremely vulnerable to fungal infections and rot. Cinnamon creates a protective barrier while also encouraging root formation. To use cinnamon, simply moisten the cut end of your cutting slightly, then dip it directly into pure cinnamon powder. Make sure you get a nice coating about 1 inch up the stem. Tap off any excess and then plant your cutting into your rooting medium. The cinnamon will help seal the wound and prevent pathogens from attacking before roots have a chance to form. This method works especially well with softwood cuttings from herbs like basil, rosemary, and mint. Just make sure you are using real cinnamon and not a cinnamon sugar blend. The third natural rooting stimulant is coconut water, and this is one that commercial growers have been using quietly for years. Fresh coconut water contains a group of natural plant hormones called cytokinins, which are directly responsible for cell division and root initiation. These are the same compounds found in expensive synthetic rooting products, but here nature provides them for free. To use coconut water, you can either soak your cuttings in pure coconut water for several hours before planting, or you can dilute it with equal parts water and use it to moisten your rooting medium. Some gardeners even mist their cuttings with diluted coconut water during the rooting process. The key is using natural coconut water without added sugars or preservatives. The kind sold for drinking works perfectly. Young green coconuts contain higher concentrations of cytokinins than mature ones, so if you have access to fresh young coconuts, that is even better. Now, if you're finding this video helpful so far, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps this video reach more gardeners like yourself, who would also find this information helpful. All right, let's continue. The fourth rooting hormone on our list is aloe vera gel, and if you have an aloe plant growing on your windowsill, you have access to one of the most effective natural rooting agents available. Fresh aloe vera gel contains salicylic acid, which triggers the plant's natural defense responses and encourages root formation. It also contains amino acids, enzymes, and minerals that nourish the cutting during those critical first weeks. To use aloe vera gel, simply cut a mature leaf from your aloe plant and slice it open to expose the clear gel inside. You can either dip your cutting directly into the gel, coating the bottom inch or 2, or you can scrape out the gel and blend it into a smoother consistency. Some gardeners prefer to let the cutting sit in a small dish of gel for about an hour before planting. The gel also creates a protective coating that helps prevent bacterial and fungal infections. This method works wonderfully on everything from tomato cuttings to rose stems. The fifth natural rooting stimulant is aspirin, and while it is technically a medicine, it mimics a compound found naturally in plants. Aspirin contains acetylsalicylic acid, which is very similar to the salicylic acid that plants produce on their own when they are stressed or wounded. When you apply aspirin to a cutting, you are essentially signaling to the plant that it needs to start healing and growing new tissue. To make an aspirin rooting solution, dissolve 1 regular strength aspirin tablet, which is about 325 milligrams, in 1 gallon of water. Stir until the tablet is completely dissolved. You can soak your cuttings in this solution for several hours before planting, or simply dip the cut end and plant immediately. Some gardeners also water their cuttings with diluted aspirin water once a week during the rooting period. This inexpensive method has shown real results in helping cuttings establish roots faster than plain water alone. The sixth rooting hormone is seaweed extract, and this one brings serious nutrition to the propagation process. Seaweed has been used as a garden amendment for centuries because it contains a remarkable concentration of trace minerals, amino acids, and natural plant hormones. Liquid seaweed extract is particularly rich in auxins and cytokinins, the 2 hormone groups most responsible for root development. You can purchase seaweed extract at most garden centers, or you can make your own if you live near the coast. To use it as a rooting hormone, dilute the extract according to the package directions, usually about 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. Soak your cuttings in this solution for about 2 hours before planting, or use it to thoroughly moisten your rooting medium before inserting the cuttings. Seaweed also contains natural compounds that help plants resist stress, which is exactly what a cutting needs while it is trying to grow new roots in an unfamiliar environment. The seventh natural rooting agent is willow bark or willow tea, and this one has legitimate science behind its effectiveness. Willow trees contain 2 powerful compounds that promote rooting. The first is salicylic acid, the same compound that makes aspirin effective. The second is indole butyric acid, which is actually the main ingredient in most commercial rooting hormone products. To make willow tea, collect young willow branches, preferably the new growth tips where hormone concentrations are highest. Cut them into 1-inch pieces and place about 2 cups of these pieces into a container. Pour 4 cups of boiling water over the willow pieces and let the mixture steep for 24 to 48 hours. Strain out the bark pieces and your willow tea is ready to use. Soak your cuttings in this solution overnight before planting. Willow tea remains effective for about 2 months if stored in the refrigerator. This is genuinely one of the most powerful homemade rooting solutions you can create. The 8th rooting hormone on our list is honey, and gardeners have been using this golden substance to help cuttings root for generations. Raw honey has natural antibacterial and antifungal properties that protect the vulnerable cut end of your cutting from infection. It also contains enzymes that may help stimulate root growth, though the science here is less definitive than its protective benefits. The key with honey is using it correctly. Never dip your cutting directly into your honey jar, because this can introduce plant material and bacteria into your honey supply. Instead, mix 1 tablespoon of raw honey into 2 cups of boiling water. Stir well till the honey is completely dissolved, then allow the mixture to cool to room temperature before using. You can soak your cuttings in this solution for several hours or simply dip and plant. Raw unprocessed honey tends to work better than the highly filtered varieties. This method pairs especially well with softwood cuttings from woody plants like hydrangeas and elderberries. The 9th natural rooting method might make you smile, but it genuinely works, and that is your own saliva. This is perhaps the most readily available rooting aid you will ever find because you carry it with you everywhere. Human saliva contains natural, antibacterial and antifungal compounds that help protect plant cuttings from rot during those vulnerable first days. The main benefit here is infection prevention rather than active root stimulation. When you are out in the garden and want to take a quick cutting but have nothing else on hand, simply moisten the cut end with saliva before inserting it into the soil. Is this the most powerful rooting method on our list? Certainly not. But it is far better than using nothing at all, and gardeners have been doing this instinctively for centuries. Think of it as your emergency backup method when you spot that perfect cutting opportunity but left all your supplies inside. Something is always better than nothing when it comes to protecting fresh cuttings. The 10th rooting hormone is clove powder, and this aromatic spice brings some serious antifungal power to your propagation efforts. Cloves contain a compound called eugenol, which has been scientifically proven to inhibit fungal growth and bacterial infection. When you are rooting cuttings, the biggest enemy is often rot setting in before roots have a chance to form. Clove powder creates a protective barrier at the cut surface while also providing mild stimulation to the plant tissue. To use clove powder, make sure you have finely ground cloves rather than whole ones. Moisten the bottom inch of your cutting slightly, then dip it into the clove powder just as you would with cinnamon. Tap off any excess and plant into your rooting medium. Some gardeners combine clove powder with cinnamon for a double layer of antifungal protection. This method works particularly well in humid environments where fungal problems tend to be more common. The pleasant aroma is simply a bonus. The 11th natural rooting stimulant is aloe vera water, which is slightly different from the gel method we discussed earlier. While aloe gel provides a thick protective coating, aloe water offers a lighter solution that works well for soaking cuttings before planting. To make aloe vera water, take 1 or 2 mature aloe leaves and blend them with about 2 cups of water until you have a smooth liquid. Strain this mixture through cheesecloth or a fine mesh strainer to remove any pulp. The resulting liquid contains all the beneficial compounds from the aloe, including salicylic acid, amino acids, and natural enzymes, but in a form that is easier to work with for soaking purposes. Let your cuttings sit in this aloe water for anywhere from 2 to 12 hours before planting. You can also use this solution to water newly planted cuttings for the first couple of weeks. Aloe water stays fresh in the refrigerator for about 1 week, so make small batches as needed. The 12th rooting hormone is apple cider vinegar, and this common kitchen ingredient has proven itself effective for many gardeners over the years. Apple cider vinegar contains natural acids and enzymes that can stimulate root development when used in very diluted concentrations. The key word here is diluted, because vinegar in stronger amounts will actually kill your cuttings rather than help them. The proper ratio is about 5 to 10 drops of apple cider vinegar in 1 cup of water. Mix this solution thoroughly before using. Dip the cut end of your cutting into this mixture for just a few seconds, then plant immediately into your rooting medium. Do not soak cuttings in this solution for extended periods. Some gardeners have reported excellent results with apple cider vinegar on stubborn cuttings that refuse to root with other methods. Always use raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar rather than the clear distilled type, as the raw version contains more beneficial compounds and the mother culture. The 13th natural rooting agent is gelatin, and this one often surprises gardeners who have never heard of using it for propagation. Unflavored gelatin is essentially pure protein, and when dissolved in water, it provides nitrogen and amino acids that can encourage root development. Gelatin also contains natural hormones that may play a role in stimulating cell division at the cutting site. To make a gelatin rooting solution, dissolve 1 packet of unflavored gelatin in 2 cups of warm water. Stir until the gelatin is completely dissolved and allow the mixture to cool to room temperature. You can soak your cuttings in this solution for several hours before planting, or use it to moisten your rooting medium. Some gardeners warm the solution slightly before each use to keep it liquid, as gelatin will thicken when cold. This method provides gentle nutrition to cuttings during the rooting process and has shown particularly good results with vegetable cuttings like tomatoes and peppers. The 14th rooting hormone takes us into combination territory, and this honey plus cinnamon mix creates a powerful 1-2 punch for your cuttings. By combining these two ingredients, you get the antibacterial and antifungal properties of both substances working together to protect your cutting from infection. You also get the enzymatic benefits of honey alongside the protective coating that cinnamon provides. To make this combination, start by preparing your honey water solution as described earlier, using 1 tablespoon of raw honey dissolved in 2 cups of warm water. Allow this to cool completely. When you are ready to use it, dip the cut end of your cutting into the honey water first, then immediately dip it into cinnamon powder while the cutting is still wet. The honey helps the cinnamon stick to the stem and creates a sealed protective layer. This double coating method has earned loyal followers among propagation enthusiasts because it addresses both infection prevention and gentle root stimulation at the same time. Try this combination on woody cuttings that tend to be slow rooters. The 15th and final rooting hormone on our list is the willow tea plus honey mix, and many experienced propagators consider this the most powerful homemade formula you can create. This combination brings together the legitimate rooting hormones found in willow, specifically indole butyric acid and salicylic acid, with the protective antibacterial properties of honey. To make this potent mixture, start by preparing your willow tea using the method described earlier. Once your willow tea has steeped for at least 24 hours and been strained, warm about 2 cups of the tea and stir in 1 tablespoon of raw honey until dissolved. Allow the mixture to cool to room temperature before using. Soak your cuttings in this solution for several hours or even overnight before planting. This combination provides actual rooting hormones to stimulate new growth while the honey protects against infection during the vulnerable rooting period. Store any leftover mixture in the refrigerator where it will remain effective for several weeks. For difficult-to-root plants, this is the formula to try. And now for the bonus tip that seasoned propagators swear by. When you are trying to root cuttings, most people focus entirely on what they put on the cutting itself, but the rooting medium matters just as much. Here is something that makes a real difference. Before you insert any cutting, water your rooting medium with diluted chamomile tea. Chamomile contains natural antifungal compounds that help prevent damping off, which is the #1 killer of cuttings during propagation. Brew a strong cup of chamomile tea using 2 tea bags per cup of boiling water. Let it steep until completely cool, then use this tea to moisten your rooting medium thoroughly before planting. The chamomile creates an environment where fungal spores struggle to take hold, giving your cuttings a much better chance of surviving long enough to develop roots. You can also mist your cuttings with diluted chamomile tea every few days during the rooting process. This simple addition to your propagation routine costs almost nothing, but can dramatically improve your success rate, especially during humid summer months when fungal problems are at their worst. Thanks for sticking with me through the entire video. If you found this helpful, give it a like, subscribe for more gardening tips, and check out our other videos on growing a better garden.